It says meeting is now streaming live. Can you, do you have your
Yeah,
computer?
that's what it says. That's what it says. Yeah, we're live. We are live. Off we go. Here we go.
Are you sure?
Yeah, it's happening. We're off.
And
Why,
I'm
why,
going to
why don't you introduce the show? Because I can see it at my end too.
Okay, I just wanted to hit record. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the River's Edge. Today, I have Alexander Quinn on again. Super, super excited. We're going to be talking about dimensions and spirituality. I have lots of questions for him, and he's happy to oblige. Is that correct, Alexander?
Yeah, 1,000,000,000%. You're talking to the right person. I wrote a book on it, so I think we should have a good conversation about it.
Oh, that's good. So a lot of people, we hear third dimension, fourth dimension, fifth dimension. So I thought it'd be interesting to do a video. And Alexander is so well versed in that. He's so knowledgeable in this area. So I wanted to go over, and you can tell me where we should start and where we shouldn't start. I want to definitely clarify what are the different dimensions and what does that even mean? What is a dimension?
Okay, so let me just take an extract from my book. It's a paragraph. Let me just read it out so I can make this really crystal clear. Okay, what are the dimensions? The dimensions are a means of organizing different planes of existence according to their vibratory rate. Each dimension has certain sets of laws and principles that are specific to the frequency of that dimension. The inhabitants of each dimension operate within that plane because their consciousness, what goes up in here, and also you have a body consciousness, but we'll come on to that later, vibrates in resonance with that frequency or the frequency of that dimension. Almost finished. The higher you are to the highest dimension, which we will set at 12, but there are many, many dimensions, but 12 is one that a lot of ETs and channel messages talk about. The closer you are to God creator source, and you are a God creator type being yourself. So does that set the scene so far?
Yes. There's different dimensions depending on the different vibrations. And what does vibration mean for anyone who's...
So vibration is basically linked to your perception. So you have a perceptional vibration. So if you have a very low perceptional vibration, you're basically like an SHIT magnet, negativity coming to you all the way. You're stuck in 3D. Your life doesn't work out. You're full of hate and fear and anxiety, and things just don't go too well. You also probably catch a lot of diseases. You might die young, and you vibrate at a very low frequency. And you could even have genetic, deficiencies and problems because you could have cells which mutate in the wrong way. Like cancer is a very low vibrational disease that attract towards you and things like that. So, I mean, we're going to talk a little bit about ETs and things and how they vibrate, because some of them can materialize and dematerialize. But if you want to talk about dimensionality, you know how angels and ETs and things like that, they can pop in and out of dimensions. Some of them don't like the third dimension very much, because if they're coming from a very, very high place, like imagine like an ET or an angelic being or some sort of physical being still within body, because within dimensionality you get physicals and non-physicals. They don't like going into a very low dimension because it's very, very tough on them. For their consciousness and for their physical vessel. So it would be like, I don't know, say like a Pleiadian coming from the Pleiades, and then to come into our very low third dimension pre-2012 would be like going into the ocean and going down to the depths. It would be like crushing for them. Whereas coming up in vibrations, you get less density, the vibrations are lighter, and you get more light quota. So imagine we've come from 3D at the bottom of the ocean. It's very dark, it's very heavy, it's very crushing, there's no light. And as you go up and up and up and up and up, you get to the water's edge, and there's more light, there's more fluid, it's lighter, you can swim around more, there's more biodiversity. And then you get the non-physicals, which are basically like coming out the water and they're flying right out up into the skies. So dimensionality is basically, just to conclude, is basically where we're at the moment, but it's also about where your purview is at, how you perceive your daily life.
Right, and that's dependent on how we're raised and the thoughts and beliefs that we have about ourselves, and that creates the vibration level. Then, correct?
Yeah, to a certain degree. When we come from when you cross over, and you go back to what people call heaven, right? But you're basically going back to source creation. So you go back to suddenly being all that is. You are everything, everywhere, all at the same time. So a lot of people that have NDEs, near death experiences, they say they came back and they felt and saw and heard everything. They were part of everything all over again. So, and answer your question, what was the question again? Sorry, I forgot.
I was asking your beliefs and thoughts about yourself growing up. I mean, if you can have the lower vibration is the negative thoughts about yourself and life.
So the rulers of a 3D world keep you locked into a 3D world with constructs, man-made constructs, politics, religion, things that keep us separated, divided, like conquer and divide. So while we're all battling, talking about left, right, and this political view and that political view, and the Catholics don't get on with the Muslims and the Hindus don't get on, we're all battling each other. The rulers of the 3D world are up here laughing. So a 3D world is very much all about conquer and divide and all kinds of other things. So you can have limiting beliefs which keep you locked into these vibrations and these ideas, and they keep you suppressed because you can't break out of it. So as you start to release these limiting ideas, you also start to, your body takes on more light, and also your diet starts to change. So there are, for example, there are people who believe in ETs and people who don't, but I would just talk about the physiology of ETs, because it's going on in these underground bases around the world and in Area 51, and there are actual beings there, and they will give us disclosure on that at some point. But these beings have crystalline bodies, and they can't process meats and things like that. They have like vegetables and fruits, because the cellular breakdown of their body can't handle these dense things that people in 3D are having. So, when everyone's talking about we're going from 3D to 5D, that's what I want to break down today.
I know we need some clarity on that. Real quick, just clarification on the ETs and what they eat. I didn't think the 5D and above that there was any food that you didn't eat then.
Well, that is correct in some bases. A lot of beings not of this planet do eat something similar to fruits and vegetables and things. Some just drink liquids, and the ones at the highest vibration that still have a physical vessel are almost like breatharians. Right. So they just literally absorb photonic light, like a plant and stuff. I mean, it sounds crazy, but I just can't wait for these ridiculous, military bases to just come out. And Emery Smith, I think his name. He is a guy who worked in one of these underground bases, and they kept on giving him tissue samples from ETs, and he was doing all this work on it. So this is how a lot of this stuff came out from whistleblowers, and they've tried to kill him multiple times. And he survived. So he went into hiding. Now he's back out. I think he's Emery Smith. Yeah, so you can Google him. But if you haven't got any more questions, what I could do is I could start on the meat and the bones of the 3D, so your viewers can really understand the difference, what 3D is. Do you want to do that?
Yes, I do. Because I mean, like you said, there's so much talk about going into 5D, and people want to know, like, what will be the difference between what we have now in life and what's 4D like and what's 5D? Do we skip 4D altogether? Yeah. So.
Okay, so let me read you 3 paragraphs from my book, because this is going to really break it down nicely. And the reason why I'm not just talking about it is because I basically put it into perfect wording that saves a lot of time. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, the 3rd dimension. Here we go. Everyone take a deep breath. Sit back and relax for a minute, and let me read this to you. The 3rd dimension. Okay. The 3rd dimension, however, is best explained as the material world of fear. This is a double-edged sword, fear of not having possessions and fear of losing them. It is about accumulating as much wealth and as much as is possible in this life, and keeping tight control over every aspect of our universe, and the fear of losing that control. In turn, that can create a lack of self-worth through fear, which in turn creates a lack of trust of others, who could easily take away from us, both in the present and in the future, creating divide, which in turn is overcompensated by a yearning for more power over others and status, creating a cycle that, if left by its own, left to run, can be quite self-destructive, and also can be destructive to yourself and to others. So we're almost halfway. So this is how we define ourselves. We struggle to connect to God's source or the spiritual realm or to higher energies, whatever you want to call it. And therefore, we struggle to connect to all that is in the universe. So here's the added problem. So to add to this problem, we feel that we can't be whole as God created us, but we can only be fulfilled by another person in our lives without first loving ourselves. So for many humans, the only time that the masculine and the feminine energy merge fully is during sex and sex only, which is why sex is so craved and is so becoming the root desire, the root cause for desire, which in turn is used for deception and influence, because sex sells, and sex is, they make money out of sex in lots of different ways, sometimes in good ways, sometimes in bad ways, sometimes even child slavery. And the duality of the third pushes the human to lust after sex as a need instead of using it as a tool for sharing love. So I'm 70% through, I'm almost finished. So we fear loving ourselves, as this is promoted as being egotistical when the opposite is the case. Loving oneself too much can also create selfishness. Again, there are big dualities in 3D. It's very hard to get balance right. So balance is very hard. And the concluding sentence here is, we need to learn to question the ego in 3D, which is often running wild with our thoughts, questioning the past, fearing every aspect of what the future holds. The ego is constantly in need of having to know everything that is happening without letting go and living in the now. Okay?
That is so what we're doing, what we're dealing with right now with all the politicians and the corrupt and ego. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Everything you just said.
So if you look at very high vibrational beings, or people who are very spiritual, or the masters, they'll give you these kind of very diluted, annoying answers to things sometimes. And it really annoys people. Like, so when people say, oh God, what should I do with my life? And they'll say, oh, go with the flow and all this kind of stuff. But I mean, it really is about trusting you into your intuition more. And internally, don't go looking for the answers outside of yourself. Look out for the answers inside of yourself. What do you feel in here? That's a more 5D answer. Whereas a 3D person would be going to their friends and families. What do I do? Friend and family, do what I next. And yeah, sometimes that can go wrong. You get duality in that, because you might get friends and family, they'll say, well, you need to go and do this living, or you need to become a doctor or a lawyer. And that's not their highest thing. And they might not survive or even be a success in that. Whereas the 5D people, they decide, they feel what is inside is the best path. You get a lot of very successful entrepreneurs who are 5D people, because they follow their heart and see it through, and then they find wealth and abundance and stuff like that.
And how do you, it's a practice, right? To go into that, to go from 3D to 5D, it takes practice to connect to spirit and be in that. Whenever you snap out of it, like when I have technical problems and I freak out, it's like, you got to remember like to snap out of it and go back into the 5D emotions and feelings and calm and breathing. And would you say that's accurate, or would you?
Yeah. Let's look at diet. Let's look at a 5D person and a 3D person, right? So if you look at a lot of top business people, they're not doing cocaine every weekend and boozing and, pharmaceutical drugs and beef burgers every 2 seconds. They're eating a lot of vegetables, they work out, they're healthy. Talking about top business people, right? They're very, very focused.
Yeah.
So a 3D person generally happens to be taking a lot of pharmaceutical drugs, eating a lot of red meat. They're taking a lot of sugary drinks. And they've got a lot of dietary things that are making them very fat. They're taking on huge amounts of fat, and it's clogging their arteries up. Whereas 5D people are very, very fluid with their intuition. They're mostly on very much lighter foods, vegetables, fruit, smoothies, fish, things like that. Probably the hardest meat they'll eat, a 5D person, will be more like chicken at the heaviest. They drink a lot of water, they're hydrated all the time, and therefore their brains are working, very, very well. So a 3D person, if they're constantly on pharmaceutical drugs and taking pills and on alcohol all the time and eating red meats, it slows your brain down, but it also slows down your etheric body and everything. And you start vibrating at a very low signature. So in terms of vibrational signatures, if you basically look at, say, animals, when they die, often they die in fear. And people forget, there are vibrational signatures that attach themselves to things. So it's often you're taking that fear signature of the animal when they die into you. So the fear of the animal on a spiritual level, whereas it works in different ways. So 3D people you generally happen to find during this time are very fear and anxiety driven, and they want to drag the 5D people down with them. But 5D people are much more about compassion, love, finding a better way, new financial systems. 5D people are more looking into the future, the cryptocurrencies. They're looking into new ways, innovations, trying to break down the cabal, things like Charlie Waller talking about, but he doesn't go into the spiritual side about it, whereas I'm going into the more metaphysical side about it, but it's all very linked. So you can see 3D people because they're freaking out right now. They're terrified about what's going on.
Now, the diet part of it, do you think that just comes naturally the more you ascend into 5D, or does it take discipline and practice?
It's a little bit of both. So the more you release limiting ideas, and the more lighter you become in thought, so follows the body. There's that saying, so above, so below. So, it's like in the Matrix, you can't get hurt in the Matrix and then not get hurt in the seat when you've got that thing rammed in the back of your head, like in the Matrix with Neo. So what goes on with the mind happens with the body, and often one will follow the other. So if you start eating much lighter foods and just going vegetable based, you could become a little bit more psychic, but also the other way around. If you start having much more, getting rid of all the limiting ideas and meditating more and looking into spirituality, then sometimes your body can follow. So it can go both ways. And then when you combine it together, you can start having prosthetic dreams. That's more fourth dimensional, upward stuff. We'll cover that in a minute. But your perception starts to change. When the universe is telling you to go right, sometimes the logical mind kicks in, and that's more 3D, and then you turn left because you're not listening to your heart. Whereas as 5D person, that your intuition and your higher self is coming down and saying the universe is telling you to go right because that's where you're going to find money and abundance and love and happiness. And then you can hear the message, so you do turn right.
Yeah, but we're raised to believe, if you haven't yet learned what it is to be like in 5D and be connected to spirit, you're so used to being like what makes common sense, how you were raised and what to do.
Absolutely. And the 3D world wants us to turn left when the universe is telling us to turn right. Because that's how the rulers of the 3D world make their money. They're constantly selling us advertising, and they want us to eat McDonald's and stuff. I mean, and they want us to stuff our face with processed foods, and they want us to be heavily reliant on the system. They don't want us to trust ourselves. They don't want us to use our own tuition. They want to be reliant on drugs, reliant on the government, reliant on fast food, reliant on all this stuff. So we are permanently sedated in a 3D matrix where we believe everything we're told. We don't question anything, and we don't trust anyone else either. And that's brilliant for the rulers of the 3D world, because we're just like cattle walking around. That's so easy to control.
Yes, that's as witnessed by this entire past year in 2020. There's so many people controlled and manipulated and believe the mainstream media. Yeah. So now we're moving into 5D. Do we just skip over 4D altogether? How does that work?
Yeah. So 4D does exist. So let's look at 4D. I've got one or two bits and pieces. It's not really paragraphs, but I've just got some interesting bits from my book that I just want to cross over onto. So 4D is in the middle. Yeah. So you get 3 on my book. I'm just 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and so on and so forth. When you go to sleep at night, you're in 4D, otherwise known as the astral realm. So I want to look at some elements of the 4D world. Is that okay?
That's a yes.
So what we got here is, say, clairaudience, which is hearing, the faculty of perceiving as if by hearing what is inaudible, hearing things that you can't actually hear. Like A lot of people are going up in vibration. They're getting the ringing in the ear, like high vibrational
I
noise.
get that a lot.
Yeah, do you get that a lot?
Mhm.
So we'll come back to that in a minute, because a lot of people want that explained. So you get clairaudience, which is seeing, the ability to gain information about objects, people, locations, or physical events through extrasensory perception. The CIA use this quite a lot, and the NSA for remote viewing. Sometimes they use it for evil, sometimes they use it for good. You get clairsentience, which is feeling, the ability to physically feel, to receive messages, emotions, or feeling externally without any aid. Clairalliance, which is smelling. So you can basically smell like an event before it happens, like an explosion, or you can smell a food that someone ate before they ate it. Then you get claircognizance, which is just knowing things before they happen. Clairtangency, to touch things. So you can pick up someone's watch and you can basically tell something about them, or you can figure out it was your father's watch all by touching it. And clairgustance, which is tasting, the ability to taste a substance without putting anything in one's mouth. It is claimed that those who process this ability are able to perceive the essence of a substance from the spiritual etheric realms through taste. So what are your thoughts on that before I carry on?
But no, carry on. That's a lot. That's a lot of Clara. I don't
So
know.
yeah, so they call them the clair abilities. So when you're basically in 3D and you're sort of living a very simple life, you're not psychic in any way. You don't have any intuition. But as you start going up in the vibrations, you pass through force. So that's when you start thinking. I'll put it into everyday kind of a situation. So you're driving along in your car, right? And someone might say, I was going to turn down that road and I just had this really weird feeling I shouldn't do it. And it's so strange because I went on the news when I got home and there was a massive accident on that road. It's so strange. I don't know what made me do it. These are 4D abilities which are clicking on, right?
Yeah.
You start getting thoughts and feelings about things which you never had before. So as you go into 5D is basically a much more accentuated, accented version of this. But you basically, synchronicity starts playing on top of all of this stuff. So I don't know whether you've had incredible times in your life when you have incredible synchronicities and you think of a person and then they call you within 5 minutes. Isn't that strange?
Right.
And the more things that happen, you're on a path, you're on a mission, you've got a project that is happening at the moment. And it's strange how you just happen to keep bumping all the right people. It's because you're vibrating at a higher rate, and the energies on the other side of the veil are working with you, but they can come through because you're at a higher vibrational match to what you actually want to attract into your life. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So I know the synchronicity feeling whenever things just happen to work out, you're on the flow, and that means you're in 5D then, right? But then doesn't always stay that way, right? Then you pop back into the 3D and then, the shit hits the fan, so to speak.
Yeah.
It's like, you're like, no, it was going so well. I want to go back.
So the reason, this is what the Pleiadians say. It's a little bit of law of attraction here. So we use some ET stuff, we use some metaphysical stuff, and we'll just use some basic law of attraction stuff. But the reason why a lot of people, especially in low emotional vibrations, struggle to attract what it is they want in their life is because they struggle to keep the high vibration and be a vibrational match for what it is they are trying to attract towards themselves.
Right.
Let me put that into basic terms. If you want to be a CEO of a company, for example, and you want to be on a CEO salary, you need to be thinking, feeling, and having the emotions of a CEO all the time from the moment you wake up, and eating clean and thinking clean. And then you will start attracting that kind of thing back into your world. That's kind of how it works. But if you're in anger, fear, and anxiety, you're just going to attract more anger and fear and anxiety, and you're going to become an SHIT magnet. You're going to attract negativity back to you. It's like the law of attraction. So that is how vibrational things work.
So my question on that is, you want to be in the vibration, the higher vibration, to attract those things that you want, the peace, love, happiness, or whatever it is you're pursuing. And when does action, what role does action play in it? Like, can you be in that high vibration? You can meditate on what you want, or is it, how much of it is action?
Well, I don't know whether some of your viewers watch a channel entity called Bashar, channeled by Daryl Anker, but basically what you want to do is you want to put out into the universe what it is that you want to attract to yourself, and then maintain a vibration that is a similar match towards that. And then what you want to do is put it out there, whatever it is you want. So if you're in a meditation or if you're doing prayer at night, put the intention out there, or whatever it is you're doing in the day. Perhaps like your YouTube channel, you want to grow more and more subscribers, right? You probably, I mean, in an ideal world, you'd have a million.
Yeah. So then what do you do?
Yeah, so you'd want to have 1 million subscribers, so you're reaching as many people as you can. So what you want to do is you want to put your intention out there, and you want to put your effort out there, and then you want to remove your expectation. So put the energy out there, and then remove expectation, because when you attach expectation, the universe basically can't work, because your mind, your conscious is here going, I want it this way, I want it this way. And then everything in the universe and the higher vibration that you're trying to match is trying to find ways which are higher than your expectation of what you can see down here happening. So often what will happen is, if you just let things free flow, once you put the energy and the expectation out, often something even better will come back and attract to what you wanted. Or you'll find someone like a better interviewer, like you'll find like someone on your channel that you wouldn't even think about who was going to be part of your channel. And then you'll make a video, and then that video suddenly got 20,000 views, for example, but because you removed the expectation. So that's all about working in your heart energy as opposed to in your logical mind, because the logical mind is all about the 3D fear material mind. So your heart is going, I put the intention out here. I put the energy out here. Okay, I'm going to remove the expectation now, because I trust myself and I trust the universe. That's a 5D perspective, where the 3D perspective is all about, I have to battle this energy. I have to climb uphill to get what I want. Abundance is a struggle. You know, I'm not going to get this. I'm fearful of what's going to happen. So I have to ram this through in order to get what I want. And this is the expectation of what I want. I've got such a high expectation. It's got to be this exact way. And then the universe can't give it to you, because actually the expectation at what you want is probably so low and for your lowest good, and it doesn't even want to give you that. So people are often blocking themselves. So just to finish off this segment before we carry on. So 3D people struggle to manifest. The manifestors are the 4D people, but especially the 5D people. Those are the people who are manifesting in their life, because they're vibrating at a higher level. And also people who are very negative and vibrate at a low level happen to attract disease and cancers and things towards themselves. So they may look very positive, but cellular makeup can't exist in a very high vibration, because it's not an energetic match for a very high vibration. It kills things like cancer off. So
you see those people that are uber healthy and they drop dead, right? So it's
well I can explain that. So what that is a lot of it. Yeah, I mean, that's you just struck the nail on the head. That's very, very important. You said that, and I want to touch on that, because a lot of your viewers probably just then would have said the same thing that you just said. Well, yeah, but that doesn't make sense, because you get all these people who are very, very happy all their life, very high, and then they just die. Well, the reason for that is because there are a lot of 3D toxins they've been putting in their life all their time, especially ones which are not very good for their blood types. Including smoking, could be nicotine, it could be caffeine, certain meats which don't work for their blood type, and also a whole lot of other things. And basically, their body, they become so immune to it. Their immune system is so basically become blocked. The receivers are not telling you that this is ill, this is bad for you. So if you're constantly drinking loads and loads and loads of coffee all the time, eventually, you know, by age 50, if you're having 3 massive cups every single day, or by the time you're 60, you're going to start having heart problems. But because your nervous system is so blocked in a 3D world, the receptors are not going to your brain and telling you, hey, there's a problem here, because you're physiologically so switched off in a lower energy Like your mind and your body are not working together. So you've got people who are just going ahead and smoking a cigar every day and having 20 cups of coffee and a whole lot of other variety and things that aren't good for them. But the body is not sending the messages to their brain because they're not receptive. So the body is not listening and linking to the brain. And then they just drop dead because all of a sudden they just can't handle it anymore. The heart just suddenly packs up. Whereas in a higher vibrational, like 5D, when you put into something that your body doesn't like, your body is switched on. So your body's going to tell you straight away, and your body can heal quicker in 5D. So it's not just your mind that's working and your telepathic abilities and everything else, but your body is alive in 5D. That's why if you put crap in there, it's going to tell you straight away. Whereas some of the 3D people that you were talking about, they've been putting stuff in there their whole lives that weren't working for them. And then it got to like the danger level was building and building and building and building, but the message wasn't being received. And then boom, they're packing up and they're out of here. And that's the reason for that.
It seems like when you're 5D energy, that would overpower food, or you could just have a healthy body. It doesn't matter what you're eating. Like you're stronger than that. That's what it seems like it should be. I can see, I understand why you wouldn't crave those foods, the lower vibration foods, but it also seems like you can overpower that.
Yes, to some degree, yes. You some degree you can. I mean, I know some very high vibrational people that still do eat a lot of meat, but they use it more for grounding purposes. So for myself personally, about 2 years ago, I thought, well, let's try this 5D thing. So I cut out dairy. I'm not saying any of your viewers should do this, but I cut out dairy, I cut out nicotine, I cut out caffeine, I cut out a whole lot of stuff. And I just purely went water, fish, and vegetables. And after about a 3-month period, I suddenly realized like my intelligence went up, my prosthetic dreams went up massively. I was jumping out of bed. I had way more energy. I was able to channel better. I was much quicker. I could work like 2 or 3 hours much faster each day. My synchronicity was going up. I was having more out of body experiences. I could meditate for longer. I could breathe, hold my breath for longer. Your physiology changes and then your mind changes. And you become a happier person. Also you have happier thoughts on less dense foods. So if you're packing in beef burgers and Coca-Cola every single night, and you're not feeling very happy about your life and you're getting fat, you can start having depressive thoughts, whereas you don't get that on a more higher vibrational diet. Your thoughts, what you think is basically what you manifest, and also what you think is partly what your body becomes. So it's all linked into manifesting and vibration.
Interesting. I want to clarify one thing on the manifesting, the how much action and how much thought is in it, because that's always it's never been laid out as clearly. What if you don't know how to get to where you want? So you don't know what action to take, but you want more money, but you don't know how to get there. Like, how would you manifest that?
Okay, those are two different questions. Let's start with the first bit. Now, the first bit was, what was the first bit you said?
How do you manifest? Is it more, because at what point, what if you don't know what action to take, is what I was saying.
Okay, if you don't know what action to take, okay. So the fastest way to manifest what you want, especially in the energies going forward, especially spiritually, now that there's more light quota on the earth than there has ever been, the fastest way to manifest will not be a job that you hate, where the day is long. Well, the day is long. Have you ever? Okay, let me put this into an easy metaphysical way that will be easy for your subscribers to understand. Okay, really, really nice and easy. When you're doing something you love, or when you're with people you love, hours turn into minutes, right?
Yes.
Now, is that strange? Is that some weird metaphysical thing? Oh, well, it's just because I'm doing something I love and with people I love. Yeah, but time speeds up, doesn't it? Right? Now, when you're doing something you hate, time goes so slowly, right?
Totally.
It's because you have sunk into a very low vibration that is very difficult to manifest things. So to manifest basically there's more light quota on this planet than there has ever been, which means it's easier to tap into fifth dimensional vibrations than ever before, right?
Right.
So you can tap into these things. So in a 5D environment, you can put in half the amount of effort and manifest the same amount of things or more in a shorter space of time, because also timelines work faster and the universe brings you more on a 5D timeline. And the way you go about finding that is by working on what attracts the most love and passion into your life. So doing the things that you are most passionate about and then finding a way to monetize them or go and work for a company that does that type of thing. And basically not listening to all of your friends and family that tell you that you're never going to make it doing that and you're not going to, because you should be a doctor or you should be an accountant, which are like very 3D stuff. Obviously, doctors and accountants are incredibly important. But if it's not you, you're not going to manifest because your heart has got to be in it. And that's, you get these entrepreneurs like Musk and Bezos and I don't know, people who have like a car dealership, who love cars, or they're just like crazy about coding and online stuff. And then they go and set up a business, and because they love it so much, it works. And they're just manifestors and they go out and do it because they think about it all day and night and they're constantly attracting that into their lives. So you want to find what you love, or certainly what you find really enjoyable, because when you when you have love and passion and enthusiasm in your life, you're going to start manifesting very, very quickly, and that's going to be your highest path. And if you can't find something that makes money in that, go for the one below or somewhere thereabouts. But if you do something that you hate, because some people around you told you to go and do it, and the day is going to be long, you're never going to get anywhere, and you'll wonder why, like other people in your company are doing the same job, but they're climbing up the ladder, but you're not. It's because they love it and you don't, and you're just not going to manifest doing something that you don't like.
Right. And it's also if you were trying to manifest more money, it's more about what does money give you? And that's what you would focus on. It's not money itself, right? It's more like, what does money mean to you? Freedom. Or you can go and do full freedom, really, to do whatever you want.
Yeah, absolutely. And money is, a lot of spiritual people get very confused about money. They think it's evil. Money's not evil. It's just a vibration. And it is your birthright to be abundant. You weren't made here to have what they call a false light contract. False contracts, soul contracts. It's not your deal to come down here and suffer. You didn't come down to earth to suffer.
No, it's time to end the suffering. No more suffering. So, yes.
Yeah, go on.
So we are moving to 5D. When do you think this will happen? And does everyone go in stages, which obviously they're going to because they're all different. But is there some point where will there be a timeline split? Some people will be 5D, some will stay in the 3D. What does that look like?
So I'm going to give you the timeline. So the dimensional, the timeline of how it worked, when it started, and where we're going, where it's going to go in the future. So I'll give you the past, present, and the future. I'll give you the whole story so everyone can understand it properly. Okay. We've been in a third dimensional construct, a low vibrational energy planet. Some people call it a prison planet, for a very, very long time. I won't go too much into extraterrestrials and reptilians and all that stuff, because it might be too much for some people. But if you really, really want to, we can do that at the end. But let's just focus on the fact that Gaia, which is its spiritual name, but even before Gaia, it was called Agartha by some of the galactics. Earth has had many different names in the cosmos. It's been a very low vibrational planet for a very, very long time. Then in 1987, you had something called the harmonic convergence. So the magnetics of the Earth and the harmonics of the Earth began slowly changing, in the hope that by the year, either by the end of the Cold War hadn't already finished, or by the year 2000, that we hadn't blown ourselves up with atomic energy, basically. So the energies, the planet of the Earth started changing with the harmonic convergence in 1987 on the 16th of August. That's the exact date that it started. And you started having a little bit of reconstructing. And that is when some of the most spiritual people on the planet, and Tibetan monks and stuff, started popping up on the radar, like the 0.01%, the highest vibrational spiritual people on the planet, started saying to each other, like in temples, in Buddhist temples on the mountains in China and Nepal and Tibet and stuff, something's changing here. So only they were privy to that information. That was not the masses then. And then as time went on, you start getting into the early 90s, and then you start getting into the early 2000s. And there was some more awakenings then. And then we hit a time period where we weren't going to blow ourselves up. Because you have to imagine, you have to remember, like when the ETs and the galactics and various people from other, we're not alone in the universe. When we were playing with the atomics in Nagasaki with the Fat Boy bomb and the other bomb, nuclear bomb that went off, it sent a ripple out into the universe, and people were looking at us like from other places and going, "Oh dear, the children have found the matches, and they're playing with things that they shouldn't be playing with." So it sent a ripple out for the Earth to start going up in vibration. Now, so you had a restructuring going on from 1987 with the harmonic vergence all the way up to 2012, where we hit a massive marker. Now, 2012 is when you hear about the Mayan calendar. All of this stuff was predicted by the ancients. So you have this thing called the precession of the equinoxes, where you work through the sign of the basically, I can't remember how to explain it exactly, but basically if you look up at the sky at a certain time in the morning before the dawn, I can't remember which direction it is, you'll have to look it up, but basically for the last 12,000 years we've been looking up. You see on the edge of the horizon where the sun rises, I think that's in the east, right? The sun rises in the east. You were seeing that I could be wrong. Your subscribers will probably kill me in the comment section. But when you look where the sun rises an hour before sunset, you have been seeing the constellation of Pisces for the last 12,000 years. Now, when you look up, you see the constellation of Aquarius. So every 12,000 years, roughly, you get a new age. So on 2012, we got a new age. So you see all the spiritual people ranting on about the precession of the equinoxes. Well, it's a big deal because we've just gone from Pisces into Aquarius. So it's a new spiritual age. So from 2012 to 2019, you basically had what are known as the restructuring years. So it was the build-up. People were starting to talk about ascension symptoms en masse for the first time. So you were getting people having awakenings on a mass scale. And a lot of people thought that 2012 was going to be the big 2020. Well, actually, it was the beginning of the restructuring. So a lot of people got very upset when 2012 happened because they thought it was going to be the big 2020. Now 2020 is when we have officially crossed over into Aquarius. And so the harmonic conversion from 87 to 2012 was where we were going from lower third dimension up into higher third dimension. 2012 to 2020 was crossing over into 4D and the restructuring years. So that it's the crossover years, and our body's getting ready for the big pounding energies like the solar flash. And then 2020 onwards are also is basically where 3D energies and light quota are now available on Gaia. So we have 5D now, but whether you want to access it or whether you can access it is up to the individual. The collective consciousness at the moment is somewhere in 4D, floating in lower 4D, higher 4D, sort of going up and down like a ripple, like a wave. When you have a massive event like 9/11 or the tsunami on Boxing Day that happened in Thailand, it shoots us back down in energy. So you go down. That's why the cabal love having horrific events, because it on a global consciousness level, global consciousness shoots down. When you get these mass meditations, like on a global scale, when people who absolutely, people who measure the Schumann resonance, they see it spike. So you get something called the Maharaji effect. So when you can even measure it on small scales, it's been known to work, and so many people talk about it. But when you get a whole load of people that meditate in a closed circuit space, crime starts dropping. People start feeling happier. It's basically like a ripple in a pond. So I was saying statistics. If there's 78 billion people on the planet, you only need 78 million to have a massive awakening, because it's contagious in a good way. So that's the timeline, basically. So I think it could take another couple of generations for everyone to go 5D, because some people are going to have to leave the 3D world either by raising their vibrations or just leaving their body and being reincarnated. So that's basically the timeline, how it's going to work. It could take another 200 to 400 years for everyone to go 4D. 5D. 5D.
And 4D. So we want to hear, like, what is it like for everyone being in 5D? Like, how is it different then? Like, are you able to see ETs or loved ones that have passed on? Can you visually see them and other things? And you'll be able to heal yourself and.
Yeah, it's much easier to heal yourself in 5D. If you look at, there are ETs in physicality and within non-physicality, so they can materialize and dematerialize. Let's take an example. There might be people, for example, UFO sightings. Pardon me, UFO sightings. Well, a lot of people say they don't exist. Well, why do people see thousands and thousands of UFOs in the skies all around the world and have done for millennia, hundreds of years? Are they all crazy, or is there something there? Why are they seeing all these ET ships, right? I want to give you something called angstrom units. Angstrom units, yeah? Angstrom is basically a measurement of vibration. So to make this easy, imagine in your home, you have a fan, yeah? You know those fans you see in restaurants, like in movies, metal fans, and they have a grill. Well, when the fan's not working, you can see the blades, right? But when you switch the fan on, it's like the blades disappear. It's like you can see through the blades. Are you with me so far? So it's the same with angstrom units. The higher something vibrates, when it starts to vibrate at a very, very high level, it starts to almost dematerialize. It's like the blades on a fan. You almost can start to begin to see through them. And that's the same thing with, say, ships or craft in the sky that can dematerialize. They're vibrating at such a high level, and that's quantum physics, and that's part of the way that they work. That's that would be another whole different video. But so it's the same. So if you look at spirits around you, they are vibrating, can potentially be at a much higher spectrum, so you can't see them. So in answer to your question, yes, if you go up in vibration, you can see more things around you, which are, so the visual light spectrum, as you vibrate high, you can see a bit more of the visual light spectrum.
Right.
Because the visual light spectrum, if you look at how big the visual light spectrum is, like this big, right? It's massive. And the human biological body, we see this much.
Right.
We only see a tiny, tiny bit. So as you go up more in vibration, you can slowly see a little bit more of the light spectrum, but also the energy spectrum. So yes, you do start to see more things that are there, but that have dematerialized or that you can't see, or ghosts or things like that. Ghosts are a little bit different. They work on the grid systems of Earth, the crystalline grid, and I can explain that. But yeah, in basic terms, as you go up in vibration, yes, you can see more things.
And loved ones too that have passed on, you'd be able to see them, as what I've heard. I can feel them, I just can't see them right now.
Yeah, it's easier to see and feel them. It's easier to feel them and understand what they might be saying to you coming through, as about actually seeing them. But as you go up in vibration, a lot of people see flashes of light, like blue flashes of light and orbs. I remember. Do you see that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I see orbs.
What kind of color orbs do you see?
No, they're just little like little lights, like little, maybe it's not an orb, feels like it's an orb, like little specks of light.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So as you go up in vibration, that becomes more prevalent. You'll see that more all the time. So if you look at some of the pictures of spirit beings, like ET family. I think there's a picture online where they're all like etheric light bodies with all these multi-dimensional colors and stuff. Have you noticed how channelers, yeah, people who channel beings, like when they're channeling, they're with their eyes closed like this, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them, when the being is coming down into them, if they were to open their eyes, because they've got the high vibration of the being that has come into them, like Daryl Anchor or Cryon, which is
Right.
Lee Carroll, or various other ones. Sometimes Wendy Kennedy, who channels the Palladians, but she sometimes does it eyes open. Some of them, when they open their eyes, the reason why they do it with their eyes closed is because when they open their eyes, they can suddenly see all this light everywhere and these crazy beings walking around and flashes of light and stuff. So it's not just like me and you seeing like a few little orbs and stuff. It's like everywhere. Like they're seeing the whole light spectrum. It's a lot for a human vessel to take on, especially if you were born in a lower vibration.
Right. Like Abraham Hicks. So when she, or that's not, or she channels Abraham, her name is Esther Hicks. Right.
Yeah,
You know.
I don't know her so much, but I would love to check her out.
Right. So, but she does it with her eyes open, and she's
Yeah.
nothing weird about it. But and she does it in her own voice. She doesn't change her voice or anything.
Yeah. So and also with channel, yeah, no, you go first, go on.
No, I was just going to carry on about 5D and what else to expect with it. People are excited. They want to know what it's all about. And also, I can see chat now. I find this is my first time doing a YouTube live, you guys. So I'm sorry, I don't know what I'm doing. But there is a chat here. So if you guys have any questions for Alexander, please write it in. So I can see the last person was Stephen Cassidy writing shapes and sort of flying. It's amazing. So
fantastic. Yeah, by all means, if they got any questions, I'm open to answering them. So just check the questions down below. But what is it, 5D? What are we expecting going forward? Well, 5D is a much lighter, more abundant type of consciousness, right? So if a consciousness, we have systems, we have financial systems, agriculture, cryptocurrency, we have farming, the way we manufacturing, right?
mhm.
So we were approaching all of these things in a lower type of consciousness. So what's going to happen if we start approaching all of these things in a higher consciousness? Well, first of all, it's going to be mostly for the greater good of everyone. And that's not to say that you can't have really successful people who will make a lot of money. That they will still be very abundant, but it will be systems that work more for the greater good of everyone. So you will still people who will still be very successful financially, but it won't be like the banking systems, which basically want to keep you in debt and keep you in a mortgage, and you know, basically you can't have a credit card unless you know, if you walk into a bank and say I've never been in debt in my whole life, you know, they don't judge that by how they're going to give you a credit card. You know, they don't care about that. So financial systems will basically change. So that's why we're going to be looking at more cryptocurrency and things like that, things that are not going to keep the masses enslaved and in debt and poor.
And we're moving towards like this, everyone's scared when you say great reset, you know, there's a bad term for great reset too, right? That people are the new world order, all of that. That's not going to happen. We're moving in the direction.
Yeah, I mean, the great reset, this is more like a great restructuring. The great reset definitely is more linked to the cabal. Yeah, the great reset, they just want to reset everything, new world order, everyone like
not happening, you know, not happening.
No, it can't happen because you know, if you look a year ago, I think it was a year ago, I think the CEOs of all the top 50 biggest companies in the world all miraculously stood down.
Yeah.
You know, you don't see, did you remember that?
Yeah. Just last year, right? Then the CEOs all started quitting.
Yeah. So the CEOs of all the biggest company in the world just all miraculously all just stood down pretty much all at the same time. You know, this is, you know, and also the media are totally 3D fear driven because they don't talk about that. You know, the media are controlled by the 3D rulers of the world. They want to keep you in, you know, fear is an addiction. That's why you keep on turning on the channel. You want to see more and more and more. You're hooked. you know, it's like methamphetamine or something, but in a fear way, right? You just want to keep coming back. Oh my God, what terrible thing's going to happen next? If I don't find out, then, you know, I need to find out what terrible thing's going to happen next. So I need to switch on the TV to protect myself, right? So 3D is all about survival, fear and survival. 5D is all about abundance and compassion and love. You don't need to worry about surviving. So we'll have mechanisms and institutions and structures and things like that that will basically help you out of having to constantly survive all the time into thriving. So you won't be having to survive to live. You'll be living to thrive and thriving.
Yes, so much better, so different than what we're doing right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, and there'll be still people who can be billionaires. You know, there's nothing wrong with that. But the wealth won't be in the 0.01%. You know, everyone will have a much higher degree of wealth. And it'll slowly be filtering down more and more and more. So systems are going to change. How we work with agriculture, you know, and we can have more compassion for our animals, as opposed to just, you know, killing them and torturing them. And then we just package it in a, you know, in a little plastic meat package and ship it off to somewhere on the other side of the world. And then they box it up and then it gets sent back to China and then flown somewhere else in the rest of the world. And then it's gone all around the world. Then you get it in your deep freezer and then you eat it and then it's full of crap. Do you know what I mean? So systems are going to change. So if we're in a much higher consciousness, the way we're going to do things are going to have more integrity. So companies aren't going to be like setting up like a system whereby they get like a $1 thing and then sell it up. Like the pharmaceutical industry is going to have more integrity. So then they're basically, instead of selling you something that is a preventative measure, they're going to be selling you things that are basically, they're going to be selling you things that are preventative measures, as opposed to things that are not, as opposed to things that, so, yeah. So basically just exactly. That's what it's going to be like. So the pharmaceutical and the banking system are going to have more integrity. It's going to be working for the people as opposed to keeping the people trapped, stuff like that. So like the pharmaceutical company have like these pills, which like cost them nothing to make, like maybe $1 a pill or something. And then they go and sell it for like $1,000, like $500. So they're making all this money and then like, yeah. And it's killing people because they can't afford it. So you get like, you know, the veterans who've like given their lives for us. They've given their, you know, they've gone off and fought evils. And yet, you know, especially in your country, in the USA, you know, medical bills are so high. Yeah. You know, the people, the good people who can't afford, they just end up homeless or whatever. You know, the medical and the pharmaceutical industries and the banking, all this stuff, they're going to have integrity. You know, basic things like a roof over your head, food on your table, medicine in a 5D world are going to be basics everyone will have, as opposed to things that the 3D rulers at the top will control for their financial gain only.
Right. Time to end that system. All right, let's see if there's any questions for you, because I have not looked yet. Okay. I thought I saw someone have a question. Now I don't know where it is. Stephen Cassidy is writing. Let's see. Stephen Cassidy wrote, yes, please, waking up like you have been beaten with baseball bats in your sleep. Heard that you were assisting forces and clearing out the dumbs or something. I need a bit of help with this.
Yeah, so he's getting, just get him to clarify. So he's getting, what is he cleaning out? Is this in waking hours or in non-waking hours?
Oh, he didn't say. Let's see. He just says, waking up like you have been beaten with baseball bats in your sleep. Heard that you are assisting forces and clearing out the dumbs or something. I need a bit of help with that. And he said it's in sleep. He said sleep.
Yeah. Okay. So as you go, okay, so let's give a foundation here so it's easy for people who don't understand this at all. Okay, let's set the premise. We've all heard of demonic attachment, right? You can get bad attachments. And when you're in a low vibrational energy, negative attachments want to latch on to fear and suffering, because that is where they get their food from. So basically, negative and low vibrational entities and attachments, they get their energetic food. Pardon me, that was my lunch. They get their food, their energetic food, from fear and suffering. That's why in a lower energy, you get a lot of war, a lot of 3D energy, you get a lot of wars and things like that. And you get like the elites, and then you get their demonic attachments and things. They actually get a food source off that fear and suffering. It's like substance for them. They also get energy off something called loosh, which is negative sexual energy, like rape and stuff like that. So these are all very bad 3D things that negative entities attach themselves onto and use it as a food source. So when you go up in vibration and you start going up into 5D, but when you still have a 3D world, we still have 3D constructs, it's like you're popping up onto the radar. So like, what was his name? Was it Rob?
It's Stephen Cassidy, and he said he has high vibes, high tuition. He's always very positive.
Yeah.
So
So
that's the 3D
this question, as you go up and up in vibration, you start popping up on the radar. So as you're going out into the world, you need to be more and more careful about having, energy protection and auric protection, things like that, especially in your sleep, because you're clearing your field, you're clearing your aura, you're clearing the energy around you. But then when you become very high vibrational, you walk out your door and you come home with attachments. So you can release those in your sleep state and stuff. But as you go up higher up in the vibration, you pop up on the radar, and there are entities that want to bring you down. So especially in the astral realm. So if you're very high vibrational, you need to protect yourself. The higher, the more vibrational you are, because then you will come under more psychic attack. So, I mean, the CIA have been using this for a long time. So they have remote viewers that basically are in the astral realms in waking time, and all they do is look out for other remote viewers to block them, so that you can't go viewing bases in Area 51, or you can't go remote viewing the other side of the moon, or you can't go remote viewing what evil leaders are doing. So you have people blocking each other under psychic attacks. So I don't know if that answers his question or not.
How does he protect himself when he goes to sleep at night so he doesn't get attacked?
So what you want to do is you want to imagine a violet like flame all around you when you're in bed at night. You want to clear your energy. You also want to don't fearful. If you get like a vision of anything trying to hurt you, you use your heart energy to send it love, because love and compassion is what kills lower energies. If you just give it more fear and anger, it just feeds it. So I know it sounds very difficult, but love and compassion and 5D energies are what crush 3D energies. So sometimes a lot of dark energies will find a very high vibrational person, not always because they want to attach, but because they see your light and they see you as a way to try and get to the light. So sometimes they'll come through you to get through you. So you protect yourself by basically imagine an auric field around you with violet flames, which sometimes they call it the Saint Germain or the violet flame, and imagine a massive ball around you, around your auric field. And what I personally do is, some time back, I pray to God, I pray to Creator, and I say, dear Creator, because God is always listening to you. If you can connect with your spirit guides and your angels and Creator, they listen to you. I'll tell you something amazing I did. We have a reptile brain. So draconian negative energies can enter into you through the reptile brain in your sleep. Now, they will sometimes appear as family and friends, but they'll be negative towards you because they can access your memories. What I do is I went through a period where every single night for a long time, I said, dear Creator, please protect me against anything that is not of my highest good, and protect me in my dreams and in my sleep tonight. Decloak and deveil anything that is not for my highest good. And then all of a sudden, I started dreaming about reptilians every single night for months, because I was seeing all these negative entities that were entering my astral realm that were cloaked as other things. And all of a sudden, I saw them for what they are. So you need to ask for protection, but also you need to envision, violet flames and other things around you and whatever spirit guides you have. So you have to do the work.
He said it helps. Okay, we have some other questions. We only have like 10 or 15 minutes left. Someone, can't find it now. Someone asked about the sleepers and how to wake them up. I'm assuming she means people that aren't awake yet too. How can we help the sleepers wake up and drive them away?
The sleepers.
Oh.
Oh, I thought they were talking about starseeds who are still sleeping, or but that sounds like negative entities.
That was Dennis Lindsay asking. I thought you meant people who were still asleep. How do you wake them up? So Dennis, if you could clarify if you're still on there. And sorry, you can see the comments too, I think, if you open and
oh yeah, I probably can. Yeah. Live chat. I do apologize.
It's not in Zoom though, it's in YouTube.
It's in YouTube. Yeah, let me go to is it on your page? Yeah.
Yeah. So we're doing the chat or the video in Zoom, but then we got to go to YouTube to look at all.
Got it.
Okay, so let me see.
So yeah, so as you pop up more,
you can see the last comment. Sorry, he said Dennis said he means to help people wake up. What can he do to help people wake up that are asleep?
So increasingly, it's going to be more important actually to focus on finding your own tribe. Okay, yeah, here we are. I'm just tapping in now. Increasingly is going to be more important to find people who are. Okay, do I pause it? Yeah.
You pause the video, then you can see the chat on the right.
Hi, Dennis, Stephen. I can see you, Mary, and Mary Tatum. Yeah. Okay, so we're good to go. Tatum, I do apologize. So increasingly what you want to do is you want to be focusing on finding other people in your tribe, because hi Dennis. So we're at a point where if you're focusing on trying to save everyone in the lower dimensions, 3D people, you can't do that anymore. And it's going to massively drag down your energy. So you can't save all of them. And the 3D timeline and the 5D timeline have split now. So you really need to start focusing on the 5D timeline, because if you're focusing on 3D people and focusing on trying to save them, it's going to lower your vibration very, very quickly. And it's going to be a bit like trying to save someone who's in a frozen lake.
What about your family and friends? Sorry.
Say it again.
Sorry to interrupt. I meant, what about your family and friends who maybe there's people he really loves and he cares about?
Well, there is one way you can do it, but I'll come to that in a minute. But a lot of the angelic and the ET channels are saying is that you really need to be finding the other high vibe people and finding your tribe now and coming together. Because when you come together, say for example, when you do a one-man meditation, it's not that powerful. But when you do a 10-man meditation, it amplifies the energy many, many more times, much, much quicker. So if you've got all of the star seeds and all the high vibrational people trying to disperse themselves, trying to save all the 3D people, the energy of the planet starts sinking very, very quickly. So in answer to your question, I don't want to leave them behind, all this kind of stuff. What you do is this. You lead by vibrational example. So you don't evangelicize, you don't sing from the rooftops and start, telling and forcing your friends and family all this stuff on them. What you do is your vibration is linked to the Hawkins map scale. If you look at the vibrations Hawkins map scale, you can go Google it. It's basically a map of the highest vibration at the top and then the lowest vibration at the bottom. And you can basically see, the vibrations, but the people who are vibrating at the top in the 5D, it's very attractive for the 3D people to see this. And then eventually when you start, forcing it on them that you need to do this, they see how happy you are in all the chaos and the terror, and they want a piece of that. And that's when you start trickle feeding them the little bits, but you have to lead by example and let them just get on with it. And a lot of people never want to wake up.
Yes, I've seen that happen. He says he understands that. So I'm not sure, Dennis, if you,
And Stephen Cassidy, DuckDuckGo is very, very good. Yeah, you're not tracked on there. You can find a lot of very, very good stuff on there. It's safe. And DuckDuckGo is very, very good for finding anything about breaking down the cabal, all of that kind of stuff. That's super good, yeah.
I'm just looking through the earlier comments to see if we missed one. And if you guys have any questions, please write in.
So yeah, so going forward with all this kind of stuff, the higher vibration, you kind of need to protect yourself more, and you can't save everyone. There's a lot of people who have, some souls are so indoctrinated and so institutionalized in the old 3D energies, they don't want to wake up. It's like we were saying on the last time we had a conversation. It's a bit like that actor in the Shawshank Redemption. No, he was afraid to come out of prison because he didn't know anything else. So it's a little bit like some souls have something called fear of enlightenment. So they don't want to come out. So, souls have to make a choice now. And the souls, if you really want to look at the person who did all of the work on this and do the reading on it, is Dolores Cannon, she spoke about the 3D time split. The 3D and the 5D was split. So, if you see people walking, I went into my, let me give you an example of this. I meditate quite a lot. So one day I went into, I woke up and I did a 2-hour meditation. I did a 2-hour meditation. I did 1 hour in the bath, listening to 400.
A bubble bath?
Oh, I had a beautiful bubble bath with candles and everything. Yeah. And I put on 432 hertz Miracle.
Lovely.
Yeah. And I put it on my Bose speaker, and I did a 1 hour meditation in the bath. And then I got out of that, and then I lay down on my bed, and then I listened to a 900 something hertz music. And I did another, and I literally felt so euphoric, because when you meditate, you bring more of your higher self in and you go up in vibration. So your higher self is the other part of your soul, which is on the other side of the veil, because not all of you comes in. So I was literally floating on air when I went shopping, and 3D, very negative 3D people feel this. Some of them want to drag you down, even if it's subconsciously, or some of them want to drag you down because the negative attachments which are attached to them want to bring you down. So when I went shopping, I literally floated into Tesco's, and this 3D person, I was wearing my mask, but it wasn't covering my nose.
Yeah.
And this guy literally, I had my back to him, and he came up to me and he said, "You're not wearing your mask properly. I'm going to tell the security guard." Like, this guy who looked like a middle-aged, well-dressed, like accountant or something, like a middle-class guy, started screaming and shouting at me in this shop. And it took me completely by surprise. And like, people were looking around like, what the hell? And he went and got the security guard in the store and said, "That man,
oh my God, so dramatic.
He's not wearing the mask on his nose." So it's kind of the same. You can, if you're very high vibrational, there are things which will go, even in physical or in the astral, they'll come to attack you. So you got to keep your guard up.
Yeah,
And
take you down.
They'll want to take you down. Yeah.
Oh my
but at the same time, I'm just so, yeah. So we got David.
Missy May, or Miss May, sorry, wrote, "Is 5D visually going to be more colorful or more planets? Or, what's it going to be like, basically?" So
5D is going to be your sense. So if you can see more in the light spectrum is this big, but in 3D, you're going to see 5D, you're going to be able to see a little bit more. And we were going through the 4D stuff, if you remember, those clair abilities, those kick in. So you can have more abilities. You're going to see more in the visual spectrum, but your senses are going to be able to pick up. You're going to be able to hear and see and smell more. People who are vibrating much higher, they get that ringing in the ears. So they didn't have that inaudible perception to be able to hear the ringing in the ears, the high frequency, because they weren't going up in vibration. So in answer to her question, yes, you're gonna have more senses. You're gonna see, hear, smell more things. You were saying, well, high vibrational, happy people don't, and they're just happy all their lives and they suddenly die. Why is that? Because their bodies weren't feeling all of this, the processed stuff and the chemicals and the preservatives that they were putting in there. In 5D, their bodies are going to have all the senses to be able to feel when you're putting something bad in there. So yeah, you're going to feel and hear more.
So when you feel it, you'll just be sick and you're like, okay, that doesn't make me feel good. I'm not going to eat or
Yeah,
drink that.
exactly. So in 3D, it took a lot of something to keep taking something. It took a lot of it before you started realizing it was making you sick.
Right.
In 5D, you'll only be able to take a very minute amount of it, and your body's going to tell you straight away, hey, this is making me sick. You need to stop right now.
I started with that last year. I started or 2019, yeah, last year or 2 years ago now, that my body started telling me like, nope, you don't like that, you don't like that. And I love cheese, but my body does not love cheese.
Yeah. And
Been,
it's going to be a little bit different for everybody. Some people's bodies are going to vibrate in one way, and some people's bodies are going to be in a different way. But people are going to be better at listening to their bodies. The body is speaking to you. So listen to the body. Don't listen to this with food. Listen to your body. Let it guide you to what it needs to eat for you to have your highest vibration. Because if you're just plugging in, like a McDonald's double cheeseburger all the time, because that's what your brain wants, your body, if you listen to your body's going to tell you.
but I think your body also, maybe it does need some grounding sometimes. And you got to listen to your body, not what you think is the healthiest thing to do. Right. So your body may crave things that someone else wouldn't crave in 5D.
And that's partly down to your Akash. It's partly down to your DNA. It's partly down to what you ate in previous life. It's partly down to your blood type. It'll be partly down to genetics. It'll be a little bit on if you're getting DNA upgrades. You might need a little bit of something that was naughty in the past, because you're getting a genetic upgrade. But you must, as you go up in vibration very quickly and you get more ascension symptoms, it's very important to listen to the body. Mm-hmm. If you need a vegetable, have a vegetable. Maybe you need a little bit of red meat, just as a one-off thing, then just have it. If you need to sleep. It's very important
for it. Like, let it go, right? Just feel it and do it. And there's not just one way to do it. There's a million different ways, and what way is right for you is going to feel right.
Yeah, the body's talking to you all the time. And, people are going through a lot of energetic and DNA upgrades right now. So a lot of people are feeling very tired. Not everyone, but they're feeling a lot more. And also they've got, fatigue of all the C119 stuff happening. But there are physical changes in the body going from carbon to crystalline. So listen to the body. Yeah. Feel it with and when your logical brain is going, no, that's nonsense. That's your 3D brain. Listen to your body. That's more 5D.
Okay, let's see if there's anyone.
Yeah, so Mary's saying, I have a voice that's present. Be here right now. Yeah, absolutely. If you're in the present, you're able to navigate the energies better for what's going on. Do I trust this person in the present? Do I trust this person in the present? My body's trying to tell me something right now? Do I need this thing in the present? If you're so busy living in the future or in the past, you can't hear anything that's happening right now. So that's why it is important to live in the present, because, like a multi-dimensional being, there isn't time on the other side. Time is circular. So right now, all we have is the present. So just focus on the present. I'm not saying don't, make money, for a house you want to buy in the future and be putting bits of money away. I'm not saying that. I'm talking about intuitively and energetically.
Yes, living in the here and now and the present and doing what makes you happy. That is such good advice for everyone right now who glued to the TV about the presidential election and everything that's going on, because it will drive you mad.
Yeah, Stephen, if you're getting the very bad ringing in the ears, just talk to your spirit guides if it's too much, and just literally say out loud, clear your space and say it's too loud, the ringing in my ears, and talk to your angels and your spirit guides and say, angels, spirit guides, please turn it down for me. It's getting too much, and you will find it will. The energies around you are listening.
Okay, I think we got all the questions answered. I have to get going as well, but so Alexander and I are going to be doing another video. We haven't set a date yet, actually, but we're going to be getting more into ETs and discussing all the different races. And
yeah, because I mean that is what I specialize in, the ET stuff, how they work, the ETs that work with the government, what's been going on since the 40s. I mean, that's what I really specialize in. So yeah, we'll do that sometime. If people are interested in that kind of thing, I'd love to do that, because they've been here a long time. And they're still amongst us now.
Yeah, I'm thinking next week, Monday or Tuesday, but we'll talk about it and set it up.
We'll talk about it. And I want to thank everybody in chat. I want to thank everyone. If you're not subscribed to Kelly, she's an absolute legend. I love Kelly. subscribe to her channel, and check out my channel. I'm Alexander Quinn. I'm sure the link will be below. But Kelly, I want to thank you so much for having me on. I love talking to you. And, you know, I do a lot of interviews, but you're so easy to talk to. You're so easy, and your questions are really, really good. And you make it so easy for me. So I'm so grateful for your subscribers. I'm so lucky to have you.
You
Thank you
guys
so
for
much.
tuning in, and thank you for all the questions. So I'll do it. We didn't plan on doing a live today. It was very last minute. So I'm like, oh shit, I have to do a live on Thursday. I don't know what I'm doing. So Alexander is super cool and said, let's try it today. So we'll do it. I will schedule it so you guys know ahead of time. So we'll figure it out after we hang up here, Alexander, and we'll send out notice of when our next video will be. And I'm going to do one on God and how the earth was created, everything. We have so much cool information to the videos.
100%. And all the, and you know, people say, why am I here? Why am I on earth? You know, I can actually answer that question. What is the meaning to life? Because I work with a lot of people that have channeled creative energy. You know, we do have some of those answers, not all of them, but we do have them. So we can talk about that too, if you want.
Yes. And if you guys also write me and let me know anything that you want to, topics you want to hear. You can, I'll put a post up and then you can comment on ideas on I'll do a post in the YouTube in the community section. Okay.
100%.
Thank you, Alexander. Thank you guys. We'll be chatting soon. Bye.